Y'all, I am so freaking excited to share something with you. I am launching the Authentic Leaders Path, an 8-week transformation journey that takes you from imposter syndrome to empowered leader. If you're ready to stop performing and start leading from your true self, drop me a DM on Instagram, Dr. Sarah Nelson Gray, or find me on Facebook and I'll get you all the information you need.
You guys are not going to want to miss this, and she only has a few spots left, so grab one while you can. Registration closes on May 27th.
Welcome to the Heartwork podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sarah.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heartwork podcast. Today, we are so honored to have Emily Elias, who is the founder of Victory Spinal Chiropractic with her husband, Alejandro. They have a thriving practice in Texas and a very big, remarkable adaptability and entrepreneurial spirit. They originally all tried to and were planning to open in Colorado, but you remember what happened during COVID. And so they quickly relocated to Texas, which was a decision that ultimately led to incredible growth and the birth of a tremendous goal. They have built successful multi-clinics while maintaining heart-centered approaches to leadership and business. And so we are excited to hear from her because not only has she gone through powerful transformations in self-worth, in wealth consciousness and money mindset, but very purposeful expansion as they continue on this incredible journey of wanting to open 300 clinics globally. And so her story really just beautifully illustrates how doing the hard work, doing that internal work directly influences what happens in the external with achievement and growth. And that makes her just an incredible guest for our podcast. So welcome, Emily. Thanks for joining us. Take us back to that moment where everything changed and you had to quickly pivot, abandon your Colorado plans and choose Texas instead. Like, what was happening during your heart and how did that pivot actually become a giant catalyst for what Victory Spinal is doing today?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Yeah, so back in school, we were probably about a year out from graduating, and we were engaged at the time, my husband and I. And I remember looking at him and just being like, what are we going to do? There were so many routes you could go, independent contractor, associate, you could open your own. We always kind of felt like we would most likely open on our own, but we didn't know what that fully looked like. And I just remember looking at him in this moment of like, oh crap, we should probably figure it out because we graduate in a year. But we didn't have like a really solid plan. And I'm very much so a planner. And, we have that entrepreneurial spirit. And so we kind of just sat down, we got really serious, and we were like, well, let's practice where we want to live. Because that's what we always heard, right? Like, go where you want to live and make your life amazing. And so we kind of took that and we were like, all right, well, we like hiking. We like the mountains. We like doing outdoorsy things. We want to be super active in our lifestyle. Like, that's just how we like to live. And at the time, my husband's brother lived in Colorado. He was in the Air Force based out of Colorado Springs. So we were like, that makes the most sense. We'll be around family, when we start to have kids. And then, we kind of started unpacking things. We're like, well, let's take a look at rent and like, what does that look like? Like logistically, what does that look like? Rent was really high, super expensive, very, very expensive to live in Colorado, really expensive to take out a business loan and try to open there. We didn't know a soul out there besides, my brother-in-law. And so the more we kind of delved in, we were like, maybe this isn't really great. It never really sat right in our hearts that like, there was nothing really like calling us to Colorado other than like, yeah, it'd be really cool to live there and start like mountain biking and stuff. Like that'd be really fun. But nothing really substantially like this is where God is calling us to be. And so we kind of just sat back. We ended up joining a management group and they helped us, they coached us, they mentored us. And then COVID happened. And out of the entire United States, I don't know if you guys knew this, there were 2 states that shut down chiropractic completely. They deemed it non-essential. One of those states was Colorado. And so that was like a major turning point for us. Like, okay, we're definitely not going there because chances are, if this thing lasts for a very long time, it was supposed to be 2 weeks, right? If this thing lasts for a lot longer, which it did, or happens again, we don't want to be in a state that's going to shut us down. That doesn't make any sense. This is our livelihood. This is our craft. This is our passion. Why would we go somewhere where they say, no, you can't do that? So we took a major, major 180 and we were like, we got to reevaluate everything. And our practice management group at the time, they really like open markets. So they like to go where nobody is, basically. Like you don't want to go where there's multiple chiropractors, like go where there's no chiropractors and then you'll have great success. So we were like, yeah, let's follow that model. That sounds great. And so Texas seemed like a very obvious choice as far as politics at the time. And, we visited there during COVID, I'll never forget. And it was like, is COVID a thing here? Like nobody had masks on. Nobody was asking about like your vax card. Like there was none of that. And we were like, okay, we really like that. We resonate with that. And the more we kind of got to dive into like the culture, the values that they have here, very family oriented. It's a great place to raise your kids. People will literally, they don't know you and they will give you the shirt off their back. So that was a moment of like, I think we feel very called here. And on our honeymoon, actually, we got married. We wanted to do like a fun honeymoon. So we spent our honeymoon driving around Texas and trying to figure out where we were going to live and open up an office. And so somehow ended up in Abilene, Texas, which if you guys have watched the movie Cars, I think Alejandro mentioned that in one of his talks. It's like the town where they build a highway around so nobody comes to the town anymore, and it's like desolate and like there's tumbleweed and cactus. That's like literally our town. Like people rope here, they barrel race. Like it's very much West Texas, wild west culture, but we wouldn't have it any other way. We love it.
That's so fun. Like that's my like girly childhood dream to be at a place where there's like tumbleweeds. It's like all you're gonna go do is put your cowgirl boots on, go ride a horse to the like neighboring friend down the road. That's like my dream.
Really, Abilene, Texas. You should come.
Amazing.
That's what we do here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I remember my own journey of like I called it the tour of cities when I was going through chiropractic school of like figuring out where you wanted to land because I'm from Wisconsin. I was definitely not going back to Wisconsin. So I understand that rhythm. Obviously, I did not do it during COVID, so I can't imagine that rhythm as well. But of trying to figure out like where am I supposed to go? Like where's my heart calling me, and where is this draw for continued like enrichment to impact a community? And obviously we've gotten a chance to also know you now to where we've heard your dreams and heard your guys' vision. I'm curious to expand on that a little bit more because when I heard originally 300 clinics, I was like, holy mother F, like they got to be their heads down. Like they're just like rocking and crushing y'all. And if you have the chance to be able to get around these two amazing humans, you just have to do it because they will not only just expand you, but they're going to help you think outside the box. And so I think that's what's cool is I've actually taken and gleaned a lot from you guys. So share that a little bit. What is that vision? Where did that come from? And what does that look like? Because I think sometimes, because I know you've spoken about this may not necessarily be in your lifetime, but it's what legacy may look like down the road for you guys. So what does that vision for your life look like as you guys have navigated that coming from your heart?
Thank you for those kind words. And I feel the exact same about you too. It's just the feeling is mutual. So our mentor during chiropractic school, I think you guys call it preceptorship when you go off and you spend, like you intern and you learn and you get outside of the clinic, which is such a godsend. If you're a student and you're listening to this, I 100% recommend doing some sort of preceptorship, externship, whatever you can to experience what business looks like and to get your hands on people who aren't just coming to your chiropractic college or they're not a chiropractic student, because not everybody's spines feel like a jacked 20-year-old. Just a pro tip. But we were doing that in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, and talk about farm life. That's what it was. And so we met our mentor and our business partner there who was the doctor that we were doing our preceptorship with. And we loved his clinic. We loved what he was doing. He was making a lot of money, very profitable, which we also like. I'm just going to be candid. And most importantly, just helping a lot of people and making a huge impact on the community. Upper cervical doc, which is what we do. And he loved to see kids and babies, and I love that. And so we really just got to know him very well. We got to know his family life. We loved the lifestyle that he lived. He also owns a farm. And so that was a big part of his life, Like he was in the clinic, and then on the weekends he would go and farm. And I'm like, what a cool thing. Like, and we thought it was kind of weird at the time, but he took us out there. He like had us kind of work through things, and like we were putting up fence, we were feeding hogs, we were like moving hay bales. It's like real farm work. And out there, it's like that may have partly inspired us to go to Texas too, but it's the most peaceful type of living you could ever have. It's quiet. The only noises you hear are animals. And like, it sounds so funny, but it's in those moments of like peace and quiet that all these business ideas come to you. And I think you can take a lot of principles of farm life and apply them to business. Anyways, not to get too super off topic, but there's a lot like circle of life and just like dealing with loss and dealing with new life and birth. And, you lose an animal, but another one comes. And anyways, we really loved his lifestyle and everything that he stood for. And at the time, we actually were living in his basement, which is just a whole other story. We like lost our housing, which talk about like starting from the bottom. Very humble beginnings, but we ended up moving in with him into his basement. And I'll never forget, he woke us up one morning. It was like 6 a.m. and it was like a Saturday. And he's like, come out here. We got to do some vision planning. And we're like, all right, this is weird. He's like, I just want to tell you guys, I had a dream. And in this dream, God came to me and he spoke and he said, you need to go read the book of Judges. And in the book of Judges is the story of Gideon. And if you guys aren't familiar, I'd love to do a quick backstory of that, if that's okay. So Gideon is basically like a warrior, and he's trying to lead Israel out of oppression, which they're always oppressed, right? But the Midianites in particular, they were about to go to war, and the Midianites had thousands, tens of thousands of soldiers, and the Israelites only had so few. The Lord comes to Gideon, an angel of the Lord, and he says, you're going to defeat the Midianites. And he's like, with who? Like, who am I going to get? And so he's like, we'll provide you soldiers. The angel of the Lord is like, you're going to find the soldiers. They'll come to you. And so he goes out and he gets like 30,000 men. And he's like, all right, we're ready. We have an army. We have all the strength. We've got really like manly men. Like if you've seen the movie 300, this is kind of what it's based off of, right? And so the Lord comes and he says, you don't need 30,000 men. And he starts to like basically vet people, and he dwindles it down to a group of 300 men. And Gideon's like, how are we going to do this? Like, we've got 300 and they've got tens of thousands of people. Like, they're a lot stronger than us. They've got more manpower. They've got more weapons. Like, what are we going to do? And God says, just trust me, have faith in me, and you will conquer them, and Israel will be free. And so he goes, and what happens, you guys can read the book of Judges if you want, but basically, they create confusion. They don't have to even shed any blood. They don't fight them at all. They create confusion amongst the Midianites' camps, and they defeat them with only 300 men. And basically, God's like, I told you so. Like, you didn't need these people. But if you follow me and my vision for you, you will conquer. You will have victory ultimately. And so that's also where victory came from. But our mentor said, I don't know. I just had this vision. Like, God came to me. He put that story in my heart. And I feel very strongly that we need to open 300 clinics around the US. And Alejandro and I are like, all right, we're in. Like, that was awesome. That was the coolest story ever. And whatever we need to do to make that happen, we're going to make that happen. But recognizing, as you guys know, you've opened a clinic. It is very challenging. There are so many obstacles. It's expensive. There are so many disadvantages, I'd say, to owning a chiropractic office versus like partnering or associating, right? Or like having a turnkey place, like from the ground up, is very difficult. And so we're kind of going through that. And we were currently going through at that time, going through the process of opening ours. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, do we really want to do this 299 more times? Like, that sounds crazy. And then our mentor goes, well, what if we make it easy and we just partner? So people don't have to feel the effects of like going from the ground up, because it sucks, right? It's like, it'd be very challenging to do that again. So he basically brought on this like partnership model where instead of somebody going to the bank, getting a loan, our mentor is like, we're going to fund them. We're going to do everything up front. We're going to give them the capital, and then they go out and they get the patients and take care of the patients. They step in. They're just the doctor. We're the business owners, and we basically give them all the systems, everything that they need, and then they can just run the show. And I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like, I know a couple like franchises and stuff who are doing that, but I didn't feel like anybody at the time was doing it. We're not a franchise, by the way, but I didn't feel like anybody was doing it from like a really heart-led place. And that was the difference. A lot of franchises are out there for profit and for gains and for fame and ego. And our mentor is not like that at all. He doesn't want any of the spotlight. He wants to be in the background. He's like, I'm just going to be like the angel investor, and you guys can run the show and do the social media. So I thought that was really cool, just coming from a place of like, he wants missionaries, not mercenaries. Like, he is people over profit. And that's what I love. He wants to like actually go out and help communities and help chiropractors be successful, be profitable, and not have to like get in this huge loan from a bank when there's already so much student debt that they have. And so we were like, you know what? We're on board with that. And it may not happen in our lifetime realistically. It may happen in our kids' lifetime or our kids' kids' lifetime, but this is like a legacy that we want to leave. So that's the story behind that.
That's incredibly powerful to be able to like trust I love the conversation about the trusting of it. That obviously in that story, I might say everything pretty much in the Bible is asking people to trust, right? And like to be able to follow and lean into that. And really the only thing that you have in that moment is to be able to trust and let go of control of what the outcome may look like. Because I would imagine to you in just our logical, realistic brains, 300 clinics may seem like, how's that even possible?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be able to then like trust it, release the timeline, release the expectation of when,
Yep.
but I'm just going to show up and be myself, do the work that we know that we need to do, and show up with what I'm given each day, which that's remarkable.
Exactly. I think in 2021, I always do like a word of the year. I'm really big on that. And my word of that year was equipped. And I know that God doesn't necessarily call the equipped, but he will equip who is called. And so that was like a big realization for me, like how, like, we don't even know how to run a business, let alone open 300. But I know that God will give us all the tools and resources that we need. And he certainly has, connecting with like people like you guys who expand us. And like we were talking about like quantum leaps, like
Mhm.
this is something where like we haven't even opened one business. And now all of a sudden, 3 years later, we've got three. And that's like, it's just been crazy. Once you get the momentum and you pick it up and you understand it, I'm like, what other businesses could we open? Like, let's do more stuff. This is super fun. And that's that entrepreneurial spirit that both of us have is like, we're just serial crazy people. We're like, let's open more things. And it's just fun. Like, I was talking to Alejandro the other day. Sorry, this kind of on a tangent, but I was like, what would we do if, like, let's just say the whole place burns down and we lose all of our patients, or I don't know, God forbid, like I lose my ability to like use my hands. And, we're sitting there and we're thinking about it. And he's like, we would just start over. We would just do something else. Like, we would just build something else. And I'm like, how freeing is that of a thought of like, we could just do this again because we've got like the repetitions in our brain. We've got the experience. All we need is like grit, tenacity, and like, tell me what to do. And I'm there. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be the best version of myself. We're going to build something really cool. And that's kind of how we feel about chiropractic, especially because that's where our passion is. Like, I don't care what we're doing, but I want to be passionate about it.
I love that because even just expanding on what you were just talking about, it's like you guys just having the confidence and trust in yourselves and your abilities and also in your resourcefulness, right? That if you don't have the abilities, that will come, right? And you'll continue to move forward. And what an incredible, like you said, it is a place of rest to be in because oftentimes those of us that don't have trust in ourselves or are working through a lot of self-worth issues and a lot of self-doubt might not see the light ahead and just think that this is it and this is only it. And it does. It can blind us to just being open to what may come down the line. You guys didn't go to school with a vision of having 300 clinics, but you were open, you had conversations, and now you're humbly starting 0 to 1 to 3 to many. And so it takes an incredible amount of leadership. If anyone has opened their own practice, it takes an incredible amount of time and service and effort. And not only just doing that for yourself, but now you are doing that partnering with other people in the community and global, yes?
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Taking it global. We're so far, we've got clinics in Texas, Oklahoma, and then Missouri, but definitely open to expanding. And that's something we even talked about today, or not today, a couple of weeks ago. We were like, if somebody was, let's say Italy or I don't know, France, wherever, like, would we be willing to go global? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, let's, we'll figure out what the laws are there and let's do it. Like, there are no limitations. And I didn't always have that self-worth too, I should say. Coming out of school, I think you have a little bit of this teetering of like, I know everything as a clinician because I just read all the textbooks. I just, passed all my national boards. But you're also like, I know nothing about running a business. Like, I'm a really good doctor. I can put my hands hands on people and I know confidently how to remove a subluxation, but I don't know how to sell that to someone. And so we were kind of in this teetering position of like, I know everything, but I know nothing. And mentoring and partnering with our mentor, I mean, it just helped our confidence so much because he's like, you guys just lean on me. Like, you go in there and be the doctor, and I'll help you with all the business skills. And we're like, yeah, that makes total sense. And through that mentorship, he's not doing it for us. He's teaching us how to do it, right? It's like teach a man to fish and he'll go out and he'll continue to fish over and over and provide for his family. And that's like what we want to do for others too. Like I'm doing you a disservice if we partner and I do everything for you. But if I show you how to put your child on payroll and get a tax break, that is invaluable, right? Like all the things that we've learned, even being part of the wealthy practitioner, like these things are invaluable. The stuff that she's teaching us, I want to teach to other people. So, the thousands, maybe even tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've invested in ourselves, I want to share that with others so that they can be profitable and they can have a wealthy lifestyle as well.
So yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Tell us because as you are going to be partnering with clinics, like you're developing your own leadership philosophies, you're developing the way that you want to show up in these businesses while also showing up for your family and building in that legacy. What is your philosophy and what is your kind of like 2 to 3 non-negotiable elements that have allowed you to make sure to onboard team well? Obviously, for you guys to be able to partner with others and pour into them, like is there time where you're spent in your own clinic? How are you managing and maneuvering your day-to-day life, investing in this and investing in clinics and then your own while also continuing to invest in your family? Like, where does that kind of range take you?
Yeah, you were very careful not to use the word balance there.
Can you tell? Can you tell?
It's a myth. Balance is an absolute myth. And I talked about this like some days before I dive into that, I feel like 100% an amazing mom, 100%. And I feel like I was present with my son and I was playing with him and I was active and I had my phone on my charger and I wasn't thinking about business at all. And maybe the business suffered a little bit, but I was fully with my son and that means the world to me. But there are other days where I'm like, man, I'm on fire. I'm freaking killing it in the clinic. We're making money. I'm leading my team amazingly. My team's flowing. They're doing good. And then I come home and I'm like, I guess I'm just putting my son to bed. And that's the only time I got to see him today. And that sucks sometimes too. But just being able to recognize that balance is a myth. And the 2 non-negotiables for me, going back to that first question, number 1, core values. I think it's super, super important that you get very real and very true on your core values, whatever that looks like in business and then whatever that looks like in your personal life. And they might be the same and that's okay. But knowing that every decision you make, hiring, firing, delegating, where you spend your time, even like physically where you are and what location and what your next goal, what your next move is, that's all around your core values. Every decision I make, I go back and I look at my core values and I say, if this is not aligning with them, I'm not doing it. Why would I do that? Right. And so my personal life, I want to have whatever balance looks like for me. I want to be able to wake up with my son. I want to have a slow morning and I want to be able to put him to bed. And I want to be able to at least spend an hour or 2 with him throughout the day, playing, doing whatever. Now I have many days where it's a lot more than 1 or 2 hours, but those are my non-negotiables in the home life. And then of course, I got to spend time with my husband too. So once we put our son down for bed, him and I have our own separate time. We put our phones on the charger, we reconnect. These are just like some really simple things that you can do because the day will get away from you. And because we work together, it can be really easy to just talk about business and like, let's talk about what went really good today and let's talk about what went really wrong. And oh my gosh, did you see what that patient said? Like we try to just really draw a fine line of once we're home, business is done. When we're in the practice, we're in the practice. And when we're at home, we're at home. Unless we have like a scheduled business meeting, we're not talking about the business. It's really hard to do that. It's a really gray area. I will say we're not perfect, but we try to be intentional about it. And then the second non-negotiable is your mission statement or your vision. So for us, like opening 300 clinics, we go back to that. Like, is this decision going to propel us to that vision? Or is it going to set us back or put us at a standstill? And if it's the negatives, we're not doing it. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to propel us to our vision, so why would we do it? And there's a lot of things that we've passed up in our personal life, like investments or like ability to buy like a rental property, or we had, oh gosh, a whole fiasco where we bought like 3 Airbnbs in 1 year. It was a terrible decision. It didn't align with our core values. We didn't do our due diligence, ended up losing like probably $60,000. And we're like, that was dumb, but we learned from it. We're like, hey, that was a terrible mistake financially, but also it had nothing to do with opening 300 clinics. So why did we do it? And now the more experience we have throughout our lives, we're like, let's not do that again. Let's put all of our focus and energy and finances into opening more clinics and helping more people and having more impact. So, did that answer your question?
I think you definitely touched on it. I think one of the most powerful things that you shared too is about, I mean, a lot of people here, leave business at the door and separate church and state. And it can be hard to do that when you and your spouse are both working towards a common goal and vision. While at the same time, it reminded me back to your question of when you asked each other, like, hey, if it did all burn down, if we lost all our patients, if everything went away, what would we do? We built grit. Same thing for people that only bond over their business is then if that business goes away or that day comes when you retire and now you're with your partner and it's like, what do we have to talk about? Who do we know? How do we know each other without business being a part of our connecting relational space? So I think that's so powerful and so important and such a great reminder too. Even for us, like my spouse isn't in my business, but how many times do I love to share about things that's going on in my business? And you can share about things that are going on in your life in that sense, but does it have to always be centered around that one topic and finding ways to just disconnect and reconnect in that space, I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, I want to touch on something on that too, because it reminds me of having your own identity, which we unpacked a lot in Nashville. At one point in our relationship, we were very, just candidly, we were super codependent. Like we did everything together. I mean, everything. And it's okay because I truly love spending time with him. He's my best friend. He's my person. He's my soulmate. And so I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to like spend every waking hour with him, right? But when you start to work together and live together and you start to do everything together, you can kind of lose a little bit of who you are. Because I'm not just Alejandro's wife or his business partner. I'm Emily. Like I'm still myself. And so I had to find my own thing to do. I had to find my own hobbies that I had interest in. And I think becoming a mother really helped me step more into that identity because I'm like, this is the one thing that I can do that you can't do for sure. Like I know you're not pushing out a baby. Which really it was very freeing to be able to, it sounds like bad, but almost like disconnect from like my identity wrapped up completely in one person and just step into truly who I was and the power that we hold being able to birth a child. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt God gave me that ability to like truly find out who I was and how powerful I was. So I have a lot of gratitude for having my son of, oh my, just so much respect for moms in general, but being able to kind of disassociate of, I'm just a business owner. I'm just Alejandra's wife. I am me. I'm a mom. I'm a killer business owner. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister, but like I have my own interests too, separate from chiropractic and the business.
So I want to like invite you to share something that a couple of us were privy to about a month ago. And it was really cool because I watched you also go deeper into that journey a little bit and were really invited to come up against some of these like limiting beliefs or just like some stuff that was holding you back. And you made a comment just as we were preparing for this about it's almost selfish to hold yourself back for the sake of what potential enrichment or impact could look like. Can you give us insight a little bit of what some of that was that you were coming up against to be able to invite other people to really know that like, hey, like sometimes you have to really look inward to be able to do the work on the outside, right? Like we can only go so far until we really dig deep and we really we own some of these things that are holding us back. So would you do us the privilege of coming into that space with us a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think this could be good for many people to hear, especially females. Whenever there's friction and you feel like super uncomfortable, I think that's the time to like lean in and go all in. And so I was challenged with our kind of business group, our business mentor, to start to share more of who I am and our story and what we went through to get where we are. And then, of course, to share the vision of where we're going. And it made me super uncomfortable. I'm a very private person. Like if I just meet someone, they don't know my whole life story. They probably just know how the weather is and I don't know, maybe what type of car I drive because it's, what I pulled up in. But I'm super private and I'm intentional about that because I want to protect my family. That's just like kind of how I am naturally. But I learned that when you do that and you are so private, you are potentially holding back something that you could share that might change that person's life. And so the more we try to guard and protect ourselves and stay private, we may actually be limiting the potential of somebody else. And I learned that that was very selfish. Coming from a place where I was trying to be selfless and not braggadocious and share about all my successes. But when we do that, I think that we're able to actually open up and expand others by sharing who we are and sharing what's inside of our heart. When I say a phrase like, we want to open 300 clinics, people are like, what? Like, I'm struggling just having one, right? And I think it just holding that back can potentially hold others back. And that's what I learned is just you have to be obviously very careful who you share things to and all that. And social media can be very publicized and can be misinterpreted. Ultimately, I was afraid of being judged, whether that was in a good way or a bad way. I was afraid that people would maybe see the real me and wouldn't like who I was and what I had to share, what I had to offer. But once you kind of break past that barrier and step into like, no, I'm holding people back if I don't share. Oh my gosh, it's like you feel I personally felt like a whole weight was lifted off of me. Like my potential is absolutely limitless when I am able to share and open up and let people in also, like be vulnerable with people. That was like a huge thing of like, I can share who I am and what I have been through and what I'm going to because it can help people. It can have a bigger impact. And that really just, I don't know, that opened something up in me. And it's like you poked a sleeping bear. I'm a bear.
Literally. You don't know how your story can inspire someone to live more fully in theirs or be like the permission slip to walk into that next phase. We just don't know how powerful connection and sharing actually can transcend so much. I think that was just such a powerful thing that we even just saw come to life over this past weekend when we were all together in Nashville. What an incredible thing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. There's like that fine balance of like comfortable and content. And so I'm balanced. There it is again, the B word. I am learning to be content with what I have, but never comfortable because I want to always strive for more. I know there we could always be doing more. We could always have greater impact. We could always be changing more lives. And so I am in that strange limbo of I love my life. I love what I have. I love my house. I love my kid. I love my husband. I love our material things. I love our business. I love who we are, but I know that we could do better and we could always do more. And so I'm kind of walking that fine line.
So okay, will you take us deeper? Like how do you ensure or how do you navigate when those opportunities come along or those decisions need to be made and it's like I want to make sure that this comes from who I am actually am and who I'm discovering is that beautiful identity of Emily as Emily, rather than what you think you should do or what, might be put on paper as that next step.
That's a really good question. And if you figure it out, let me know. I'm just kidding. Um,
There's a
I
reason why I'm asking, girl.
Yeah, I think I kind of talked about friction earlier, and I believe in prayer. I believe in speaking to a higher power and kind of getting some discernment from that. So I do a lot of prayer time. I do a lot of quiet time so that I can you can't hear a whisper in the midst of chaos, right? We all know that when our life is just go, 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 and we never slow down, it's hard to hear a higher power who's he doesn't yell at you, he whispers. So I'm very intentional on having my quiet time, especially with the toddler. You need it for your sanity. So I think when you feel a little bit of friction is when you really need to spend more time thinking about something, in my opinion. There are times in my past when I have had a decision come to me. Let's say, for example, like acquiring this office that we did back in September. There was a lot of friction behind that. Why would we do that? That's not, financially smart, whatever. But we go back to our core values and we go back to our mission statement and we lean into the friction. Why do I feel hesitant about this? What's the fear? What's really triggering me? And the more you kind of start to unpack it, it's like, man, these are just past traumas just showing up. Like I had a rough childhood growing up financially. Like my parents were always stressed about money. There was always a reason to not buy something because we couldn't afford it, right? And so I think a lot of that comes from that previous kind of scarcity mindset from my family from generations back. And then just kind of leaning into why I feel friction about it, why I feel discomfort, and really unpacking that and understanding maybe there's no actual logic behind this, but you have to be led by your heart and by your conscience and just really leaning into like, this just feels right. Like, as females, we're more intuitive. We make decisions based on emotion and based on feeling. And if I'm not completely bought into something, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to do it at my 100% passionate self. And I don't want to be in that state really ever. It doesn't align with me. So I think my logic brain is like, let's go back to core values and mission statement. And then I'm like, and does it feel good? And if it does, then yeah. And I think when there's a little bit of friction behind it, it excites me because I'm like, why do I feel hesitant to do it? And then I'm even more so like, well, let's freaking like just abolish that and let's do it. I don't know if that answered that, but
Yeah, amen.
I was actually, it's cool because I was talking to my one of my coaches yesterday, and when something is so connected to our like us, right? And we become so like I loved how you talked about the when you get outside the chaos and come back to yourself, right? And you come connected to the one that obviously is giving you and feeding you the life and the energy, the flow. And he made a comment of, it's not a matter of God flowing it to me, it's me flowing towards it. That is always in the rhythm of like the potential and the abundance is there, right? It's our ability to be able to actually hear it and respond and move because God's always willing. And also then at the same time, like you said, staying within with that your lane or your potential and not stepping outside of what like maybe that limit may be, right? Like it doesn't mean you have to be everything to everyone because that's not what we're designed to do. We're designed to be able to follow and flow with what is being given to us. And then I love the also the other part of that is like we are like human beings, we're not meant to like truly produce the fruit. We're meant to bear it, right? Like God is the one that is meant to produce it as long as we stay connected to him. He's the one that's going to bring it. We're just meant to like bear the fruit and the fruit's going to come from us as we continue to step toward what's already flowing to us at the same time. So I love that. And like just to like wrap up what you just kind of said, like I think it just is such an alignment. When you stay in alignment with that, literally the potential is endless.
hmm and you can feel when something's out of alignment, like, I don't know, you just have like a pit in your stomach almost. Like that doesn't feel, there's a difference between like that pit, that out of alignment feeling, and like friction.
Totally.
You're like, oh, this is like friction of like, this is exciting because this could go either one or two ways. This could go really bad or this could go really good. And then there's like, I don't know, that just doesn't feel right, you know? But being able to discern is like that's the key right there. So I think, Sarah, I love that you just said that, like me flowing to something, like, because we talk about we can call in something, I can attract things to me, and, abundance leads to me and it follows me. But what about me actually going to something, right? Like me feeling called to go into something and having maybe a little bit of friction, but understanding like friction can sometimes be a good thing. So I
Yeah,
love that you said that. It was awesome.
definitely calls it forward.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I wanted to kind of dive into I mean, if you're okay with it, the like female leadership and then also like knowing where to call in help.
Hmm, that's good.
And you have shared a lot about like, in January pop-up, like we had an ability to bring our son, we had a nanny with us and like make opportunities happen, letting go of some things in certain times while also taking ownership of other things and how releasing certain identities, perhaps of being able to juggle all the plates and do it all the time versus then being intentional about when you're doing what you're doing and then when you're being what you need to be and what you feel called to be. How did you go through the process of saying, okay, this was the first step of me saying, no, like I want help in this area of my life. And that doesn't mean that I'm bad at not being able to handle it all, but this allows me the more space to do the things that are really geeking out in my heart and like are calling me into the next phase of what life might look like as a family heart-centered business and legacy creator.
Oh gosh, yeah. Man, you just said so many things there. I'm like, I could go off on so many tangents. Um, I couple, I'll say back in, oh gosh, before August, before we started the 90-day sprint, with the wealthy practitioner, I felt a major incongruency in my life of I love what I do, but I don't want to do it all the time. I felt like, I'll just use the word burnt out. I felt I was burning the candle on both ends. I would go and pour in and love and serve so much to my patients, and then I'd go home and I would be empty for my family. And that's not a good feeling. That's not a good place to lead your family from. So I knew I had to make a change, and I didn't know quite what that looked like. But I think getting the permission slip to step out of the business and trying to do everything was a major breakthrough for me. I learned that you don't have to do it all. You can ask for help, especially as a female. We have this whole like mantra of like female empowerment and like feminism and women can do it all. And yes, you can, but you don't have to if that doesn't align with you. And if it's not, again, reaching you to your goals, to your vision, and aligning with your core values. Because, yeah, I know I can do it all, but I don't want to feel like crap when I do that. And I want to come home and I want to love on my son and my husband. And I can't do that from an empty state, from a really tired, exhausted, mentally, emotional, physical state. I want to be 100% in whatever I do. And I had that realization of, I don't have to clean my house. I don't have to prep all of our food. It doesn't make me less of a mother. I can call out and outsource, if you will, some of these tasks that, to be honest, I hate doing. And it takes a lot of time and energy away from the things that I love to do. So why would I not do it? And thank God he has given me the resources to be able to do so, right? Like I've worked my butt off. I have worked so much and I have grinded and I have hustled and I have done a lot. So now it's time for me to be. And I want to step into a state of like just being and being still. And then when I'm at work, I do, I do, I do. I get home, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am fully present, and I step into that. And that is like the most freeing thing, the most freeing realization I've ever had is like, you do not have to do it all. This is not your weight to bear. You don't have to do all of it. You can outsource some things and keep the things that you love to do. So the whole like delegate and elevate thing, I took that and like ran with it. My staff was like, oh God, oh God. Because I came in and I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to list everything that I do, everything that you do. And we're going to do like the highlighter thing. I'm going to highlight all the things in green that I love and I'm not giving up. And it was basically see patients. And that was pretty much it. That's all I do. Like,
Be the doc, yeah.
but that's like what we went to school for. And I think we have this big misconception as chiropractic students of like, oh, I want to adjust, I want to adjust, I want to adjust. And I go on mission trips and I see thousands and I'm like lit up from that. And I go home and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to adjust the world. And like, yes, I love that passion. And then you open a business and you're like, I got to pay taxes. I got to do payroll. I got to manage people. Like this freaking sucks. Like I don't want to be a chiropractor anymore. And then a lot of our colleagues are now like bartending and whatever, working at a UPS store and nothing wrong with that. But like you got to figure out the balance, the B word. There is a way that you can do it and do it better and not feel so burnt out from that. And a big way that helped me was just to outsource that. Outsource all the things that I hate doing because somebody else might love to do it, right? And so we're taking that power away from them when we try to micromanage and do everything. And so that vision of like the spinning plates, I'm like, okay, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm running payroll, I'm doing this, I'm leading a team, and all the plates are like kind of halfway spinning, but I'm miserable and I'm exhausted and I'm tired of doing that. So let me give some plates to other people who love that, right? And I think that's like, man, that was just a huge breakthrough for me. So it changed
Yeah.
around completely.
I feel one of the examples that comes to my mind, like I love that, even just in the business, right? Because sometimes we think about, okay, what can I delegate out in my personal life? We don't realize like, well, okay, yeah, but you still might need to delegate within your actual business too. And it is hard because especially if you are creating a big ripple and a big impact in your community and you are serving a lot of people, like your time in those hours really is spent patient facing. And for me, one of the things that lights me up is like creativity, branding, putting your authentic heart like out in color and logo and name and the way you express yourself and how you decorate the office and what the ambiance and the energy is around it, right? And I have a team member who also loves those things. And so for a long time, I held on to that thinking like, I need to direct this. I need to, create what this is and I need to put my heart into it because it's my business and my vision. When one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I can still direct and help guide, but if someone else literally loves physically doing it, like I literally don't have the time. And so they know that. And so they'll even like throw me a little crumb like, hey, do you want to approve this or look over this? And is it like the color aesthetic or thing that you like? And so she'll give me just like a little like heads up. And so it keeps me tied in, but I have full trust and authority in her capacity because, well, where did she grab examples from? The stuff that I had created in the past. And so it's just a beautiful extension of our practice and our mission. A lot of times as business owners and as the docs, we still figure about it being like our path and our way, and that our way is the only way. But the reason that you hire incredible people and let go of the ones that aren't aligning with the vision and the mission of the practice is because it's the collective movement and you brought people on to help you take it where it needs to go, while also with the understanding that you also need to preserve your space and your capacity to serve the way that you're being called to, which is in front of patients and with people. But even for some of us, like for me, I'm my first associate, I'm seeing less people. And so I'm working through the process of like, yes, can I still be a chiro and serve? Can I still be the business owner and do? And like what that beautiful space is of having my hand in a little bit of things, not necessarily needing to be all hands in on all of the things at all of the times.
So good. Yes. Yeah. One of our mentors once said, your CA, their job is to make your job easier. And I thought about that and I was like, man, yeah, like, because they can't adjust, right? So I'm going to adjust and they're going to do everything to help me on the back end. And once we kind of see it like that, like obviously they're people, but you get them bought into the mission and you treat them well and you bonus them well and you take care of them, man, like they will literally run your practice for you. I tell everybody, like, there is nothing special about us doctors. Like, yeah, we're amazing, we're great adjusters, whatever, but there's nothing special about us. Our team are the people who run the show. And so that's who I want to pour into. And Sarah, I know you like you're a pro at the team situation. So I'm like preaching to the choir. But once we had that realization of like, it's not all about me. I don't want to be the face of the show. I don't want to run like a personality led practice because I want to be able to replicate this
Right.
and open 300 clinics. And so when I pour into my team will take care of people. All I got to do is go in there and move some bones and we're good to go. That's like all it is. It's so fun and so freeing knowing that like this person's outcome is not dependent on me. Like their experience isn't just about whether they, get well or their condition gets better or whatever. Like I want them to be greeted with a smile. And I want people to call them by their name. And I want to have all their things organized, their paperwork organized. And I want them to come in and it just be like a seamless flow. And all I'm doing is, hey, I'm just here to adjust your back and you're good to go. Like, and the outcome, I'm detached from that. And that is like a really cool, freeing feeling as well. So I know it's kind of random, but I just thought of that
No,
flow.
it's amazing. I love that where it's like you're saying that the outcome is not up to you though at the end of the day, and you're not building a personality based practice or just business in general, because it's important, like especially if you want multiple, you got to be able to, and you have multiple docs in your office. It can't just be based on one person at the end of the
Yeah.
day. The gift
Had
of
a
that is,
major ego death there.
yeah, for sure.
Major ego death. So yeah, we built up everything, like from the ground up, and we bootstrapped, and we did all this, and we're like, man, the community loves us. They love me. They love how I adjust. They love me as a doctor. And the more you do that, like the more you're limiting the growth of your business.
100%. So as we've talked about a lot of things today, which I love it so much. We've gotten full circle on a lot of things, so thank you, gosh, for your freaking wisdom. So if somebody is listening today and they are going through a potential pivot in their life and they feel like they're coming up against something that's like, holy crap, I thought I was going this way and all of a sudden I'm going a different way. Or they are wrestling with feeling like they deserve success or wanting to put themselves out there, but they have that fear of judgment. Or they feel like they have an invitation that's being extended to them, but they don't know how to act. What would you say would be the invitation that you would really invite them into leaning into?
Gosh, I mean, if you need a permission slip, I'll write them left and right. I'm here for you. I'm here to give you out permission because I didn't feel like I had that, and it only held me back.
Mhm.
So I invite people to, number one, get really clear on your mission and your vision for you and maybe your spouse or your family and what that looks like. And also success leaves clues. So find a mentor or people around you in a good community that you can stick with, because if you make yourself an island, it becomes very lonely very fast. And you feel like your problems are very unique to you and nobody else is going through what I'm going through, but that's not the case at all. So I invite you to find somebody who's doing amazing that you resonate with, that their lifestyle connects with you and resonates with you, and stick to them and pick their brain and figure out what they did to get to where they are. Because the truth is, there's probably no secret sauce, right? It's probably just all up here. It's probably just all mindset stuff. If you can stick with that and get to know yourself and your true identity and step into your full power, you are truly limitless. You're unstoppable, and there is nothing that anybody can say that will hold you back. You just got to do the work and get real with yourself.
It's amazing. So I know that we've also had a couple asks from you to our community, and I would love to be able to give you the opportunity to also give an ask. Like, how do people find out more about you guys? How can they get connected to you? Where can they get just the brilliance of Emily and Alejandro?
Oh, thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity. I'm so glad you asked. We have my husband and I do a podcast. It's called Path to Victory. We share all about tactics, business stuff, personal stuff, wins, losses, success, failures. And then we've got a website called paththovictorycairo.com, where we're basically taking applicants for people who want to partner with us and open maybe one of our 300 clinics, or if they're struggling and they need help, we'd love to partner along with you and maybe help to get you to a profitable position, but also good balance. I keep on using that word. Maybe figure out what your goals are for your personal and your business life, and to help you there. So those are the main two places, but you can also follow me on Instagram, Dr. Emily Elias, and my husband's is Path to Victory. I think it's Path to Victory right now is just his Instagram handle. He keeps changing it, so I never know. But truthfully, I'm an open book. You can message me anything, and I love to help people. So that's what I'm here for. I believe I was put on that earth for that purpose, and I'm just happy to be here, happy to have the opportunity to share. Thank you for giving me a platform.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. I know Maurice and I have only, like I said, literally had the opportunity to just be sucked into your orbit. And it's just been such a beautiful opportunity to get to know you as a human. And you really, truly are an amazing mom, business owner, like amazing friend to a lot of people. And we're just very honored to be able to have you on this podcast. So y'all, if you have loved what you heard today, please rate the show, subscribe it, share it to this world, because people need to hear this story and be able to hear this out there as well. We also have an email list as well, so please subscribe to our VIP email list. We got some fun things coming down the corner as well. So thank you so much, Emily, for being a part of this, and we look forward to chatting with you guys next time.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Bye.